What's going on, guys? My name is Dylan Gonzalez, the American Fly Tyer. Here with my cousin Jack Gonzalez. He's JackXflyfishing on Instagram, and also the Sensei's son. He's my Uncle Ed's son. So he's my cousin. And down from Colorado, we wanted to tell a little story, a little video on a 30-inch brown that I caught this last year. So I shared it on Instagram and shared a bunch of pictures of it, but kind of wanted to do a story behind it, kind of like JUDE. He's the original one who did all this, but wanted to do a video just because it's a cool story and wanted to always have it. So go for it. Tell me what you remember.
All right. So basically, my younger brother, he does this event every year. He comes out through New Mexico and he goes and does it. And we make a little fly fishing trip out of it. So my dad and we came down with him, and we met up with Easy and Dylan, and we decided to go to the Juan for a couple of days. But it ended up being a small trip, just a couple of days. He could only make it out for one day, actually, and of course the one day he makes it out.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was doing, but I could only be there for like a day, and I think it was even like a half day. I had to go bring Grandpa home or something.
It wasn't a long trip anyways. It was literally like 2 days.
I think I fished that morning from like maybe 7 till noon, if that. That's kind of all the time I had. And in that time, we, he had been fishing kind of the lower section of the river.
It was me, Easy, Eli, my dad, and we're just did a little fishing. We get into them pretty good, and Dylan pulls up, and we're like, let's go up. We want to go up, go catch some bigger ones.
Yeah, they didn't even get the chance to fish the quality section, really. And, I love the San Juan, and I love the lower section, but there's something special about the quality section. And I know that if you're not from there, you definitely want to spend some time on it. And I told Jack, let's go to Texas Hole and let's walk up and let's try and sight fish some of the big guys.
I think we're both thinking too. We want big fish. Big fish, might as well go for some bigger fish. But we walk up. Texas Hole's crowded, so we're like, let's just go above it. Check it out, and we just do some sight fishing. And it was an okay day. We caught maybe 2 dozen fish. It wasn't like it normally is, but it was pretty decent. We're picking off fish, It was pretty fun. You could see them. It was in a little bit of shallow water and just sticking fish, leapfrogging each other and stuff like that. And so he's ahead of me. Dylan's ahead of me. I'm working on the fish right now. He's like, Jack, come here. And I'm like, oh boy, what we got? And he points out, he's like, right there. And we just see this log.
It was, just a shadow. It was way bigger than everything else around it. It was ridiculous.
You look at,
when a fish casts a shadow, that's a big fish. That's
when you see a real 30-inch trout, you're like, that's a big fish. And so we're like comparable to it was in a little bit of a little school of fish. It was like, you could see him compared to the 20 inchers, and it's just huge. The shoulders, everything is just big fish. And we're like, all right, that's the one. We're going to work on that fish for a little bit. And so I think Dylan let off. He was throwing some stuff. We're throwing some bigger stuff, actually, that day. And this fish was not having it. He was being a little more picky. So Dylan's throwing some stuff. I'm throwing some stuff. And I immediately know, I'm like, yeah, we got to go something a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I initially was fishing like a size 14 larvae and a size 22 betas. And man, I threw some really good casts in front of it. I was presenting some flies really well, and it may have eaten them, and I just went undetected, but it just seemed like it was not turning. It was eating something extremely specific.
Yeah.
And I was trying hard.
Yeah, we spent some time on it before we actually got him, but it was eating. The fish was eating for sure. And
we kept seeing it switch.
Yeah, it was switching lanes. His mouth was open. You could see the white. So I throw one of my patterns I know that does a little better for bigger fish, especially more picky fish, and throw it twice. Actually, he ate it 2 times. The first time I stung him and it just came out. Second time, pulled it right out of his mouth, and I was pissed at that point.
And this fish was kind of erratic too, in the fact that after that it took off. I think you maybe
stung. We switched. We switched one time, and you were fishing at it, and then I threw a mutilator, a little minnow pattern, and he swiped at it twice, and I missed him twice again. So I missed it 4 times already, and it's so sick to watch a big fish like that hammer a big streamer. And it I missed it twice though. So then we switch. Dylan's throwing. Then we switch back. I'm throwing. Then I accidentally I catch a fish behind it, and so the fish touches the big fish, spooks it off, and I'm like, shoot. So I get rid of that little fish, and
yeah, and this is San Juan in September, so there is people on this river. So we see this fish take off upstream, and there's 20 anglers upstream. We're like,
yeah,
we might not see it again, but we're also determined. And I was like, we can't let this one go.
So yeah, we see all these people, and I'm like, shoot, is it even worth it? And we walk up a little bit, and we're at like the very end of this little section to where you can't really fish below you, but you can fish above you. So I was thinking in my mind, if we leave, our spot's gonna get taken, but we have to find this big fish. So we move up a little bit. We're looking for it, and we're just picking off some other fish on our way up. We couldn't find it at all. We went up probably like 25 yards, maybe a little bit more.
Something out there.
There wasn't a lot of room, so we picked off a couple of fish. There's a lot of people. Walked back down after we fished up there a little bit, and the fish was back. It was back in the same spot. And we're like, oh, shoot. Here we go again, round 2. And I've already poked this fish 3-4 times. So it's going to be a lot harder now to even catch this fish. But we find it again, throwing some cast to it, nothing. Switch, Dylan's throwing some cast to it, kind of going back and forth. And then I'm like, so then I was throwing to it, I missed it. Dylan goes back, and I'm re-rigging, because every time we're re-rigging so many times.
Yeah, and it was hard to tie on knots, because you see this fish in front of you, you know he's not going to be there forever.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do everything as fast as you can, and you're shaking, and it's like, it's just hard when your heart gets pumping. Yeah. You're trying to like almost kite. It's crazy.
You're trying to be stealthy. You're trying all this stuff, just trying to really focus up. And I decided, I'm like, okay, he swiped at the mutilator. Maybe he'll swipe at a pine squirrel or a leech. And I'm about to tie that on. Dylan's in rotation, and then.
So yeah, I had tied on my 1 o'clock midge. Of course, a pattern that kind of born in San Juan.
Yeah.
It's an adult midge actually, but it's meant to be underwater. It's meant to be fished and stuff like that. 2-3 feet of water. And I think it was like my second cast over him. I saw him turn. He came probably a foot or so to eat it. He moved lanes at it and felt him. Everything. I mean, it was just awesome, and stung him. Boom. And once I had him on, it was like, how are we going to net it? That was probably my first thought was like, because I was hooked up to it on a 10.5 foot through bait, hooked up, and it didn't move. It was just like I could move my rod back and forth, and nothing was going to happen.
Believe it or not, hooking the fish isn't the hardest part. And landing the fish is where it really gets serious. So
we almost had to beach him.
I know. So
it was rough.
I'm tying, and I just hear that, and I just hear I got him, and I'm like goosebumps, like all up my neck. I'm like, okay, here we go. And I just dropped my stuff.
Bring the net.
I just dropped my stuff. I had the bigger net. I had my big fish pond net, but it's still 30-inch fish. Like, it's not going to, probably won't even fit in that. So he has it on, and I turn around, and I'm just immediately like zoned in. And Dylan's kind of like, he's a little.
So yeah, I mean, I was thinking, you shouldn't fear fish, but I was scared of this fish.
It's almost like buck fever.
It's very similar, yeah.
With a big fish, it's cool. Hard to explain it, but he's on there. He's like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "Yep, calm down."
Jack if he would guide, would be one of the best guys in Colorado, because he is top notch when it comes to fighting and landing fish. So it was nice to have him in my corner this time.
I'm telling him, let's just calm down and upstream immediately. And I was like, oh, shoot.
And no control. I mean, nothing you could do.
You can't do anything.
I'm fishing 6X tippet.
6, 7X, yeah. And it's just upstream. And immediately
on
I'm like,
24.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is, I don't know.
Yeah. I think you said it best after we caught it was, To catch a big fish, everything has to go right. And for some reason, everything went wrong, and we still landed it.
Some reason, yeah. Everything went wrong with this fish, and we still had it. I don't know how.
Yeah, my line even had slack in it. I was not prepared to catch this fish, but
it was chaotic.
I think JUDE had said it best in the video he did. With sometimes a fish just chooses you that time, and for some reason everything went wrong, and that fish just chose me. And it was, I mean, obviously we got him to the net, but I grew up fishing the San Juan. I grew up fighting those bigger fish, and I know from experience that they don't want to move sometimes. So I think we got him back to about 10 to 15 feet from me, and I told Jack I'm going to walk at him, and it's really unorthodox because I mean you're supposed to stand your ground and fight a fish, but I started walking at him to kind of move him because there's times I don't think he even knew he was hooked. He was just being stubborn.
I've never seen a big fish fight like that, but we were fighting it. I mean, with big fish, yes, it's not orthodox, but you gotta get in there, especially if you really want to land it. So we're chasing this fish around a little bit, kind of like
it's like
walking the
like
dog. Yeah, he's just going around, and I'm like behind him, and I'm like going around trying to like corral him in. We're just kind of like going like this back and forth, trying to like really like get him into a place where we know is safe. Where he's at right now is not safe, and so we're like.
And the whole time I mean I fought and landed big fish, but the whole time I'm zeroed in on him, and I can hear Jack, "Put your rod left, put it underwater, rod up, turn right, turn around, let out some line."
Basically, just like telling him to get all the angles. I'm like, nope, down, up, left, down, and we're just like, he's like, and we're just like walking and walking.
I'm trying my best, yeah.
And it's the good part about where we were fighting it wasn't like fast moving current. It was a little slower. It was clear and it was shallow, and so we were kind of working it in that area. But below us were rapids, and it was and like we didn't want to get down there. And above us were big rocks, big boulders, and
deeper water.
15 million people. So we're like, okay, we have to keep him here. Can't go up, can't go down. So I'm walking around, kind of keeping him down here. Dylan's like this, and then we're like switching, going like this. Eventually, we get him to the bank, and we get him this little U section. He tries to go underneath, and I'm like, Dylan, down, pull him up. He pulls out like this, gets up for just a split second. We never got his head above the water.
No.
Never once. So he gets up higher in the water column. I put my net under. Dylan puts his net like this. Whoop.
Yeah, we just sandwiched him. I mean, there was no way he was going to fit in one of our nets. There was no way.
We scooped him up, and so half of him is in Dylan's net, half of him in my net, and we're just like,
oh yeah, we start holding him on to the top of the net, trying to.
Dylan throws his rod, and we put the net above him. We just like hold it, and we tuck it in, and we're like, holy, we just landed this fish.
It was surreal. It was crazy. I remember the first thing I think we did is we got to the bank, of course, high-fived, and it's, just like we just won the Super Bowl.
It was crazy.
But we start trying to get videos of him because it's like we have to capture it somehow. Mm-hmm. There's no way we can. If this fish flops out of this net, I'm never seeing him again. So we tried to do, videos and stuff right away, and of course we kept him in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I think
we kept him in the water pretty much the whole time. Pictures back in the water. And video back in the water.
Another thing about this is all chaotic, and this sounds like we fought this fish for 20 minutes, but all this happened within 4 minutes?
3-5 minutes maybe.
Yeah,
it was like that. And it was crazy.
We did not take a long time from hooking to having this fish in the net. So we got some cool pictures, some cool videos and stuff, and I actually have never ever tape measured a fish. I had a little mark on my rod that's 20-inch, and I kind of gauged off of that, but luckily I was with Jack and he had a tape measure. So we actually measured this fish out, and it was 30 on the dot without squeezing its tail. So we probably could have gotten, I probably could have gotten another half inch, maybe a 3/4,
31, 32,
31, somewhere in there, but it was a 30-inch fish.
30-inch fish.
And the girth of it was ridiculous. It was probably 20 around. I mean,
it was a big fish.
I don't know, how heavy do you think it was?
7 pounds, maybe.
It was
5-7 pounds.
It was a giant.
Maybe bigger than that.
It was a giant. I mean, holding that fish was incredible. Of course, we released it in the same spot. We spent some time with it, and we didn't really need much time to revive it. It kind of just stayed with us, which is cool.
It just kind of sat there in the water, and it was chilling. We made sure a little bit.
We hung out for about 20 minutes.
We hung out a little bit. We kind of just chilled after that on the bank. We were just watching
I was done fishing at that point. I mean, nothing I'm gonna do that's gonna top that.
Like, dang.
But even so, once we released that fish, it started eating, like right next to us. It started eating just everything, and we knew it was healthy. We knew it was good, and there's actually been some sightings of it since then on the San Juan, so we know that it swam off and it's healthy and it's still around. So
yeah, so he's doing good.
Like I said, with Jude Duran, he did the video on this before, and it's really incredible to kind of think that fish chose me that day. Jack, I would say, could catch that fish 20 times over. He's caught fish in a water bottle. He's one of the best anglers right out here, and to have that one with you has been super cool.
Every time, dude. Every time we're together, it always seems to be a big fish that comes out
somehow, some way.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, so just wanted to share a video on this, kind of document it a little bit, and hopefully hold on to it because it was a cool one.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna share some San Juan Brown, 30 inch.